You don't like the trading psychology topic. So what is your viewpoint on discipline in trading, and how can someone increase their discipline?
Your psychological inadequacies and things like that are going to come out. Your fear, your greed, and things like that. But if you're properly sized, in my mind, in a trade, if you have proper risk management, then you should be a little bit more robotic.
Everybody, when we're talking scalping, it's under a minute, some of these trades. Bracket orders, he can do that well.
Yeah.
But he also trades similar to me and can trade VWAP really well. The 30K payout from Apex came from trading the VWAP stuff on the long side.
Blew through 40 PAs, probably 60, evals to get those 40. And then I went to buy them again, and I got that message that I was shut down. Sometimes I'll listen to music, but most often I like to run silent. I mean, it's dark. It's
we get to see what type of psychopath you really are. See, everybody, just now we peel back the layers.
Yeah. Again, no one's going to come. No one's going to help you, dude. You can read books, you can listen, and you can pick up some things. You're like, oh, that's cool. But at the end of the day, it's you. You got to rely on you.
What's up, traders? Welcome back to the Day Trading Show. Today, I'm sitting down with Mark Ross, and we're talking all about his experience with Apex, how he took a 40K payout last year and one big payout from them. He's also taken multiple payouts from different firms that we're going to talk about, as well as him trading personal capital. So we touch on everything, the prop side, the personal capital, his opinion on trading psychology. Stay through till the end so you can hear the full story about why he's actually not even able to buy any more accounts with Apex, which I think is super important for some of you to hear, especially if you're just entering the futures prop trading space for the first time. You want to know everything about these companies that you may be getting involved with. So Mark is a wealth of knowledge. I've been hounding him to get on this podcast. After the big payout last year, I wanted to do it, but we finally got him to start 2025, which is, a good thing because now he gets to talk about all the payouts he took last year. So I'll shut up now. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Mark, and thank you to you, our listeners. I appreciate everybody so much. Make sure you're subscribed, and now enjoy my conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mark Ross. This episode wouldn't be possible without Top One Trader. They have a brand new instant funding model that I think everyone needs to try. There's 5 different accounts you can choose from. You can hold trades over the weekend, and there's a 90-10 profit split. So use my link in the description. Use the code ASFX to save on your next instant funded challenge. And as always, thank you to Top One for being a sponsor of the podcast. Now let's get into the episode. Why don't we start with the seminar? Let's talk about that. Give me a little bit of a debrief on the seminar. What were your thoughts? So you were with us for the 2 days in Dallas. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. So kind of what when we had kind of the ending comments and things like that, that was the big for me. I had never, I've been to seminars in industry and different things, but never like in trading. Right. So that's the first time I was around traders. I got to meet you, Randy, but, Alex, just a lot of people I've been spending a lot of time with over the past year trading. And for me, that was one of the biggest takeaways is just being in the room, with you and Evan and just, watching you guys trade and being able to pick your brains and just right in the moment. I mean, Discord and Zoom and all that stuff is great, but just sometimes it's just, there's nothing better than being in a room together. Right. And having that access and just things happen faster and you can kind of read the room better and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. The pod trading was fun. I hadn't done anything like that before. It's challenging, everybody making, decisions together and stuff like that. We're not any of us classically trained to be able to, do that and in that environment. So I think we were kind of, I had the thought, hindsight, right? But I was telling Randy and then Juan and Alex at our table that I was like, what we're going to do? We're going to sit here the first day and we're not going to take any trades, no trades. And then we're going to see where everybody is starting Friday morning. And then we might take one trade. And if we have a winner, we're just going to sit. And we kind of got caught up in it. We were like, listening to people and you and Evan had a couple trades right out of the gate. You were winners. And like, we may have to trade this. And so we kind of just got into it. But if we had just sat, we would have won from the group, not you and Evan, but we probably would have won from the group.
Well, if you just hit a win on Friday, you could have beat us because we really.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, that was the plan, was just to hit a trade on Friday.
So I think that was a huge takeaway from that whole exercise of the pod trading was like the guys that trade the most don't make the most money. We say that, but then when you do that exercise and you experience it, it's a totally different thing. I think I can say for sure I'm not going to do a team competition again, as much as it was fun. What we'll do
Yeah.
at the next one is let everybody just trade their own accounts. And if we want to make that a competition and P&L by the end of the day, part of the competition, sure, we can make that part of the shtick. You know what I'm saying? But I
Oh,
think
100%.
there was some feedback from like Thomas and some of the other guys that were like, yeah, trying to get everyone to agree on how to take a trade, how to manage a trade, it's tough. But I think it was still really a valuable exercise to just see the outcome of it, like you said. What was some of the big takeaways from Evan's presentation specifically? What did you like that Evan did?
Yeah. So going back to kind of just being in the room with somebody, right? I mean, I watched you and Evan stream and James, and I traded with you guys, in the live, but just having him talk through the trades, having him on the screen, having people ask questions that maybe you didn't think about, or hearing him talk about it in a different way. I mean, I kind of came away with two things. One, more of appreciation for how he's trading, because I'm trading differently than that right now for the most part. But I have done quite a few VWAP trades in the past, and I'm looking to kind of work that back into the mix of tools, of ways of trading. So it was really interesting just to see how he's refined that, how you guys have developed. Because I mean, looking back, I mean, I've been in the Black Shirt Club this a year now, right? I started back last January. So we started kind of, I guess, forming that and trading that way more so around what, maybe March, April.
Yeah.
So really, if you think about it, in the grand scheme, it's not that long of time. So everything evolves and develops, and it's going to continue to be refined and developed as the market changes. So it was just really good to kind of get a refresher, right, of just even the videos that he's putting out about trading futures and things like that, just because things do change quickly. And it was really good to kind of hear it firsthand. So but
I,
yeah, going back, I just like meeting you and Evan and stuff. I wish James could have been there too, but I got
I
kicked out of
called
that.
him as soon as I landed, bro, and he's already trying to figure out how to get in his visa and everything for the next one. Now he has to
Yeah,
convince his wife that to let him leave the baby too to make it happen. So it's even harder now. Yeah,
yeah,
we know how that's going to go.
yeah.
So no,
He's
that's really, really good feedback for everybody listening. We're going to try to do another event down here in Tampa in May. I'm actually, Mark, I've reached out to a venue already. See if we can attract some other traders too. My plan is to make it even more valuable for the guys like you that already came. Is I'm going to collab with some of these other guys I know that have solid trading communities, that have other profitable traders like you in their community, have them try to bring
yeah,
their best guys. We all come together with our best traders and our closest guys, you know what I'm saying, and see what type of
yeah.
networking and ideas we can put together. Because one thing that you didn't mention, because you weren't there, is you weren't there Friday night, you weren't there Saturday for some of the extracurricular stuff, and it's super interesting because like that whole Trump coin thing happened, right? And not that we're making a ton of money off of that. People put a couple
Yeah,
thousand
yeah,
dollars, but
yeah.
like that's a really good. We were sitting having lunch on Sunday, and we were like, this is a really good example of like coming to a seminar. You come for the education, you come for the live trading, whatever. But those extracurricular conversations, the stuff that happens,
Oh,
that's what you never know what it's going to be. We had no idea it was going to be a Trump coin. We had no idea. Dude, I was talking to Brent about the oil business and the way that they
oh
pay.
yeah, dude.
I was learning, like, so these conversations that can lead you down a rabbit hole that can create a new
Yeah.
business opportunity. Literally, Saturday night, me, Brent, and Randy were drunk, bro, sitting there talking about starting a private prison or a rehab facility because the margins were so good. And we're doing the margin. So it's like you get these really interesting business conversations and
Oh, yeah.
opportunities too from just being around like-minded people, you know?
Yeah, I know. I like when we went to Terry Black's for barbecue, right? I sat down at a table. Ivan was at the table. Who's your guy running? I forget his name that was running the video. Sorry,
Ryan.
uh, Ryan. Right, Ryan
Ricky,
was
Ryan and
that.
Ricky,
Yeah,
those were the two other guys. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, and then Alex
And
from
Alex.
Texas, yeah, and just great conversation because I hadn't had a chance to really talk with him yet and stuff, and I mean, literally, we're sitting there talking, and then Ivan's from like Ukraine, and but he lives in the States. I'm like, oh, where do you live? And he literally lives like 15 minutes from my
I
house, dude.
know.
Like
That's
I know
crazy.
it's like crazy, like and then I met, yeah, it was just kind of crazy stuff like that, and so we had some really good conversations and stuff. But yeah, it's just good, to meet up with everybody.
For
It's
sure.
fun. I think it's the last week of May that you're doing it. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're announcing it yet or not, but yeah,
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, dude, that. I'm going to be gone. I'm out of the country that week. That's what
Where
I'm
you,
going
oh,
to.
that's when you're going to Italy, right?
Yeah, I'm going to Italy. Yeah, yeah,
And
for
that's a
two
good
weeks.
excuse. That's a good excuse.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know, man. I was trying to for brief moment. I was trying to figure out how to, and I was like, no, there's no way
Well,
I
I'm
can.
not. My dates are still slightly up in the air. That's why I haven't made like
Okay.
because if this
Yeah.
hotel, there's two hotels that I want to do it at. They're really really
Yeah.
nice. If
Yeah.
the first hotel is actually booked on the days I wanted it. If the second hotel is also booked on those days, I got to find new days. So that's why
Yeah.
it's I'm cooking. So as soon as I have it
Oh, yeah.
finalized, I'll get it out to everybody. But yeah, that'll be our second
Sweet.
one. That'll be our last one. Just two a year is plenty. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's still a journey to make it there, and it's a lot of talking for me and Evan too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a
Oh,
long
yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
No, I know. Yeah. I can tell you guys were gassed. I was gassed when I got back and I didn't do anything. You know, it's like, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially Evan for his first time, and he was wearing dress
Yeah.
shoes, and I told him, I'm like, don't wear dress shoes, bro. Wear sneakers. I know it doesn't look as cool, but like your feet are gonna fucking kill after standing and
Yeah.
talking. And they did. He was
Yeah.
done. His social battery too, I think, was a
Yeah.
little low, so he had to
Oh,
recharge.
it does. It drains you.
Yeah,
Yeah. But dude, he did a
we're
really good
drinking,
job. Like
dude.
it's,
He's smoking
yeah.
cigarettes at the honky tonk. We're fucking out. You know what I'm saying? But dude, and the thing you missed Friday night, they fucking loved it, bro. With the rodeo and
Oh,
they loved
dude,
it,
I
dude.
saw Brent had the hat on
Oh,
and everything.
Brent
I was
was
like, damn it. I missed it, man.
Brent comes into the bar, picks up a girl in 3 seconds, and is dancing with her, bro. Like no joke, 3 minutes. Like it's on. If you're in
Brent
Texas,
he
it's
calls that
online.
Tuesday night.
A
He
Tuesday
calls that
night,
Tuesday
right?
night.
Exactly, exactly. So let's talk about you for a second. So good info, good input
All right.
on the seminar.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you're listening to this and you don't know Mark, Mark is a Black Shirt Club member, like he said, for the last year. He's been working with me. Um, we've been through many ups and downs, many reiterations of Mark Ross's trading from where we started to where we are now,
Yeah.
Mark. You want to give like a high level of that? And in the intro to this video, Mark, I'm going to mention, the big payout from Apex and blah, blah, blah. So everybody's already going to know you had a really good year with us. You got payouts from CFD companies, you got payouts from futures companies, crushed it with the
Yeah.
20 accounts from Apex. But why don't you just kind of do like high level how you got from Forex, the CFD companies, and then to here today? Real quick, before we go any further with today's podcast, I want to thank our second sponsor, Edgeful. Edgeful is the only tool you need to reach your trading goals. This is the one-stop shop. If you're trading stocks, futures, or crypto, you can go into Edgeful and gather all the information you need to refine your edge. Whether it's the report on how often the gap fills or the report on how often we make a new high of day in Power Hour, all of those answers are given to you and updated daily in Edgeful. So use the link down below, check out Edgeful. This could be a tool that changes 2025 for you. So I'm being serious. This is definitely worth your time. And if you want to see us use it, come check out ASFX TV. But I got an Edgeful link in the description. Definitely go check that out. And of course, thank you to them for being a sponsor. Now let's get back to the video.
Okay. Yeah. So just picking it up from the CFD companies, that was probably as you and I have discussed, like I have been trading, for a long time, but it's been stops and starts, and we can get into that, another conversation. I don't think you want to go there now, but starting probably about 22, 23, I was looking to get back into trading, and historically I'd always traded futures, not really stocks or anything. I would buy stock and things like that, but not really, trade. I was more buy and hold. So I was, just kind of going down the rabbit hole one night on my laptop on the couch, and a lot of CFD stuff was popping up, and especially with the prop firms. And I have a friend, longtime friend, that is here in Chicago that worked for a prop firm, and that was his career. So I knew about them. I knew what he did. He traded natural gas, things like that. So I was like, I didn't think I would ever be able to do something like that. But when I saw these prop firms popping up, I was like, this is cool. I could get funded with a company. I wouldn't have to put risk my own capital. So that's how I got into it, just from, YouTube and shit like that. So started trading. I think I looked it up. I think my first payout with a CFD was like May 23. And I got funded with a couple of different firms. And then everybody knows kind of the history, of coming into that 23. Things were starting to be uncertain around CFD with US traders. And about the same time, actually, if you remember back this summer when we were doing one of our coaching calls, I was in the car driving my son out to sports camp. It was like a year ago, like I think around June or July, I was doing that, and I was just watching content on YouTube, and I came across you, and so I started watching your stuff probably about that summer after I kind of was getting back into trading, and then I just took I don't know, it was like December. I was like, I'm gonna call this guy. He kept saying, hey, it's free, things like that. So called you up, and what I liked about you, you're authentic, and I've gotten to know, I was thinking about it now. I was like, I've known you for a year. I've been trading, with you. You've been coaching me, and we've been doing a lot of stuff together. And um, You're exactly how I kind of thought you would be. And I watch a lot of stuff. Sometimes you look at these guys and we all make fun of like the Lambo guys and stuff like that. But, that's what I liked about you. Like when you trade, it's like, whether win, lose, or break even, you put it out there and that happens every day in the Black Shirt Club. All of us win, lose, or draw. Right. And that I like the authenticity. I like that you're a sports mind. You're good. You got a good coaching head on your shoulders. You're a good trader. So that's what got me, to call you in December. We got that, and then so when I got into the Black Shirt Club, we were all still, Forex, right? I mean, I was, you're laughing. You had to kind of get me course corrected there, but I was watching like 12, 15 different, currency pairs and just stuff like that, and we what was it, January, February, we just kind of, it kind of dried up and we had to shift and pivot to futures. So that got me back into futures, which at the time it was new for a lot of people, but for me it was just pivoting right back into something that I was familiar with. Now, historically, what I traded when I traded futures, it was things like grains. I might do some energy and things like that, but it was mostly like corn and soybeans and stuff like that because I grew up on a farm and that was kind of just what I knew. But so this into the Black Shirt Club was my first, experience trading indices. And then, I still that kind of historic coaching call. I still have it like pivotal moment when you told me, you're like, look, you need to, you know, pare it down, right? Start kind of becoming a specialist, everybody that you've talked to and everything like that. So that got me on the road and thinking about, paring down. And so I thought about what you said and I just went full bore. I went down to one indice and I just said, I'm just going to trade that. I'm going to get to know that market. And it's been NASDAQ since then. I think that was probably April,
Yep.
probably April
And you
of
also
last
played
year.
one side of the market at one point. You were really focused on
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
maybe
I think that helped me too. Yeah. And I
yeah.
still lean towards that. Like, yeah, I don't take a lot of like position trades that are on the short side of the market. I just feel more comfortable on the long side. I take that part of it out. Scalping, I'll play either side,
Yeah.
but because it's a little bit different. But yeah,
How would you tell a new trader to figure out? So you're somebody that can scalp. You've proven you can make money. You've taken payouts through like everybody. When we're talking scalping, it's under a minute. Some of these trades, bracket orders, he can do that well.
yeah,
But he also trades similar to me and can trade VWAP really well. The 30K payout from Apex came from trading the VWAP stuff on the long side. That's when you
yeah,
just strung wins together on 20 Apex accounts and crushed it. What would be
yeah.
your advice to a new trader as far as like figuring out how could they figure out which way they should lean? If they're more the scalper or more the VWAP day trader, how did you determine which one would be better for you?
Yeah, I think for me, a big part of it was how am I wired? Like, what's the easiest path for me, right? Now, I think anybody can do anything, right? I mean, if you train yourself, it just depends on how bad you want it. But what's the easier path? Like, how are you just what is your disposition towards more alignment? For me, we would have, we'd be in these trades and we'd be in these VWAP trades and, be sitting there and we'd get in a trade and then it would just chop or I'd get in a drawdown. And then I'm trying to figure out how to manage that. Am I adding? Am I taking off? Am I, what are we doing? And it would just, and I was at the time I was working full time as well. And it just kind of mentally drained me. What I liked about the scalping was because I trade NQ's tends to be more volatile, than the other indices. And it's quick. And with a bracket order, yeah, I'm in and out. And yeah, I was showing Thomas the other day. I had three trades. All three trades were 1 second each, and I was done for the day. Now I was waiting for setups, right? I mean, that's a kind of a one-off, but a lot of them are anywhere. It's kind of like riding a bull. They're from 1 to 8 seconds, right? It's an 8 or 10 second trade. It's probably not going to work out because it usually works out within that amount of time or less. So for me, that helped me take out a lot of the shit that I would fuck up, just from overthinking stuff, second guessing myself. So if I find my setup with scalping and I pull the trigger, it's pretty much hands off at that point because it either falls through and hits my target price or it stops me out or I get a break even because I have a trailing break even stop that gets triggered. So for me, it's just finding the setups, making sure I stay 60% or better on finding my setups, and then the way I've got my bracket set right now, I'm a little better than 1 to 1, even with commissions and fees and whatnot. So I can lose, a trade and I can make it back and more so with the next winning trade.
What was so in there to my question,
Yeah.
you're saying you knew yourself, you know the way you are wired, you're
Hmm.
leaning into your strength. What
Yeah.
strengths play to scalping in your mind versus the more intraday? Is it just like these fast-ish decision making? Can it just be said as that? Like what else comes to mind for yourself, like when you look at yourself?
Yeah. That's a good idea. Or a good thought. I mean, yeah, I would start there. I do tend to think fast, and I think that helps me with scalping, but it's also something I have to guard against if I'm doing VWAP trades. Because if I'm in a VWAP trade, I have to really practice patience because it can take a little while to play out. And then, like a great thing, Evan was showing the trade, and we were looking at it, and you made a good point. We were looking at these trades, and we had them it's like, yeah, he's like, and look here where we came, we broke out of the opening range and then the VWAP, and, he's walking us through it. And when you look at it, you got all these bars, and I'm kind of sitting, far enough away, I can't tell time or anything on the bars. But you're like, oh, yeah, you could totally sit there and do that and just wait for that. But you said, look at this. This happened at 9 o'clock in the morning. He didn't take his trade until 1:20. That amount of time for me, I mean, I'm making thousands of decisions and
Right.
talking myself in and out of the trade and trying to come up with and so for me, I can trade that way, but it's more challenging because I have to really, really be dialed in, be have a conviction, know why I would get out of a trade or why I should stay in a trade and stick with that because I can make 1,000 different decisions on why I should or shouldn't get in or out of it
So rather
during that
than
amount of time.
reprogram the way you think, just say play to my strength, which is quick decision making, make the trade
Yeah,
faster.
absolutely. And I think you can still do both, right? But you
Yeah,
just got to know when it's two different arenas that I'm stepping into. When I step into one arena, I kind of got a not a home court advantage, but I've got a little bit better, ability in that arena than I do in another one. So when I step in the other one, I'm a little bit, handicapped in that I need to really make sure that I'm dialed in and focused and know what my limitations are. It's like you said, know thyself, right? It's like,
100%. Great input because
yeah,
I think people listening are going to hear the success and then they're going to be like,
yeah,
okay, how can I boil that back?
yeah.
So let's go. Just for a second, let's touch on the one side of the market thing. I think new traders will take
Mhm.
value from that. How important was it for you when you were trying to find what would work best for you? How
Yeah.
much clarity did you get, I should say, from trading one side of the market being long only or flat rather than long, short, or flat? And would you recommend that
Yeah.
to other traders?
Yeah. Well, I remember, in one of our coaching sessions, you were asking me about, markups, marking up longs, marking up shorts, and I would mark them up, but, you know, that's the thing. You can mark them up in hindsight, but when you're in the market and you're in the trading zone, for me, things would get muddled. So if I had a long that didn't work out, now I'm like, okay, well, I need to be looking for a short because I'm obviously not necessarily. And I would fall into that cycle of just because something didn't work, I must be wrong, and I got to flip around. I got to be nimble. And I know we were discussing one time. I just said I'll continue to mark up the shorts, but I'm not going to take the shorts. And you challenged me to keep marking them up, and which was good in that I could mark up shorts, I could see shorts. But for me, if I was wrong in a short, I just want to take that part out of the equation. So I'm either right or wrong on a long, or I'm flat. And for me, that took out a certain percentage, at least in my mind, of things that might go wrong with my trading because I'm not going to sit around and get chopped. If it's just chopping, I either find the long, I get long, I just trade one side of the market, or I'm flat. And it also helped with discipline because a lot of times, there would be you and others, and some more than others, that just like the short side of the market and they'd be taking shorts. Like Zach would just hit a freaking, triple like out of the park on a short. And I'd be like, man, that was a lot of money really quickly because shorts tend to just make money very quickly. But I had to learn to develop discipline and be like, that's okay. That's his trade. That's not my trade.
How do you learn to develop discipline? Because you're someone, I want to get into this too. I'm asking this as
Yeah.
like a segue. You don't like the trading psychology topic. So, what is your viewpoint on discipline in trading and how can someone increase their discipline? We want to give a big thank you to TradeZella for being a sponsor of the podcast. That means you guys get to save when you sign up. Either use the code ASFX10 for 10% off your monthly membership or ASFX20 for 20% off your yearly membership. If you don't know how to use TradeZella, we've got you covered there too. So we're going to help you save when you sign up, and we're going to teach you how to use it. Go to my YouTube channel, the ASFX channel, and watch the Hot Seat playlist. That's going to show you how real traders like yourself are using TradeZella today. We cover all the features, all the tricks, all the tutorials are right there for you. So big thank you to TradeZella, and let's get back to the video.
Yeah, well, discipline has to be built, and I'm not a subject matter expert. I can just tell you what works for me. I think you got to start small. You got to do something that's a little bit challenging, but hold to it, accomplish it. Whether it be something that you just do every day, something small, and then build on it and hold yourself accountable. I often say, I know it's not my line. A lot of people say it, like no one cares and no one's coming, right? So it's great being in the club, and having everybody hold you accountable and stuff like that. But how many times, me included, do I go off and hide and do some stupid shit? And then you have a call with me and you're like, Mark, what happened? And I'm like, well, I fucking just started smashing the button. I got fucking on tilt or whatever. Other than you sitting in the chair next to me, which you don't have time to do, there's no way to stop that other than me, right? So you have to do small things and build up and can continue to develop that muscle that develops discipline and hold yourself accountable for it. You talked about this at the seminar. I'm a big proponent of this. Do something hard every day, and I like doing something hard at the beginning of the day, and that makes everything else seem a little bit easier, right? And then so if you want to sit in a trade, or if you've already done something hard, you're like, hey, I woke up, I did this hard thing. And now when I'm faced with adversity or something hard decision, or I'm in drawdown or trade didn't go my way or whatever, big picture, I can, I can handle it.
Tell everybody what you do in the morning, Mark, and where you live.
I live in the Chicago area. This
Where
morning
it's
it was zero
cold as
with
balls.
the it was zero today with a negative 15 wind chill, and I ran 7.5 miles.
So
Yeah, so that's my hard thing.
that's your hard
Some
thing. But
days
I
are,
really like what you
yeah,
said, Mark. I wrote it down actually. I think you're saying discipline is taking that one small action, which is funny. My
yeah,
personal trainer, because I'm back in the gym now, he said to me, he's
yeah,
like, have you been meditating? And I was like, no, I haven't meditated since my dad passed. And he's like, okay, pick one day a week, start. And
yeah,
like, I was like, God damn it, bro. Like, and this is why I have a coach for that. Cause I'm like, you're right. Like, it's just instead of trying to do
yeah,
it every day, which is intimidating to anybody, even someone that
yeah.
was deep, you got to just start small. But then also, when I think back onto when I was doing it every day with no issue, that discipline is really just doing it every day, one at a time, and building
Hmm.
momentum. So wouldn't we say that
Yeah,
like discipline comes from doing that hard thing over and over, building momentum, right? Like there's the word
yeah.
momentum is definitely in the equation of discipline, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, just like with most anything, right? You just build on it, and the momentum helps you. Like I know, like some people are going to look at some things that people do, and they're like, "Oh man, that's hard as hell." Other people look at it; it's all relativity, right? And they're like, "There's somebody out there watching this right now, going 7.5 miles, dude. I did 15 this morning.
Right.
Or whatever. They're training
Right.
for a marathon. I'm like, exactly. It's all relativity, right? And so I think that's why I say start small, get the wins, and then it just kind of builds on it because it kind of feeds on itself. At least I think it should. Is once you kind of get a taste for it, and it just builds on. You're like, oh yeah, I can keep doing this and things like that. But for me, my meditation comes when I'm running. I mean, a lot of times I'm either listening to a podcast, sometimes I'll listen to music, but most often I like to run silent. I mean, it's dark, it's
So yeah, we get to
silent.
see what type of psychopath you really are. See everybody just
Yeah,
now we peel back the
yeah.
layers.
Yeah. There's idiots out there with lights on running and stuff, but that's you don't need that, dude. You can
Looking like a
see. So,
traffic cone. So
dude.
let's
Yeah.
before we get off this topic too, why do you have a little bit like state your opinion about trading
Yep.
psychology in general? We've had really good conversations, I think, about this because you do have a different perspective than a lot of people. And I'd like you to be candid with it too. Don't hold back. So, what is your perspective on trading psychology? And like for some of the guys out there that maybe you're thinking trading psychology is the answer to my problems. I got a strategy. It has to work. It's me that's the problem. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's something to that. I mean, I guess where I diverge from a lot of it is, people, and I've done it too. I've read books, I've heard people talk and things like that. But at the end of the day, it just circles back to you. You got to, I mean, look in the mirror. Trading is like, we practice in Bikram yoga. We talked about this. We used to do that. It's you standing in front of a mirror when you're trading, and everything is bare. I mean, everything. And I mean that in a in a physical way, like with your temperament, all your inadequacies, your strengths, and things like that is all right there. And I think you just gotta know yourself, and you gotta give some stuff. It's no again, no one's gonna come, no one's gonna help you, dude. You can read books, you can listen, and you can pick up some things. You're like, oh, that's cool, but at the end of the day, it's you. You got to rely on you. I mean, it's about you, and that's where I diverge. Like, I don't get into kind of talking about stuff, and well, why did I do that? Was it something from my childhood, or what? You know what, dude? Everybody's had good things. Everything's had hard things, in their lives. I mean, we could all sit around and talk about it. Who cares? No one cares. You don't care about mine, and I don't care about yours. So at the end of the day, we're here to trade and make money. So just figure your shit out and get it done. I mean, that's as simple as I can say it. I mean, now there's going to be people that's going to blow back on that and go, "Oh no, there's people can help you. They've written books, they got PhDs and stuff." Like I'm sure, right? If they, and that's the track you want to go, that's fine. But at the end of the day, dude, it's going to come down to you.
And if the P&L doesn't match what you want out of trading, that's a sign that you probably still have more work to do on strategy, on the whole process in general, right? It's not really
Yeah,
until you would say the P&L matches where you're making more money than you're putting into trading, where then you can be
yeah,
like, yeah, maybe this psychology stuff is now like I've kind of got it under wraps, right? Like what other barometer is there to
yeah.
measure when you've got it figured out other than P&L?
I guess, yeah. So if we're going to talk about P and
Because isn't
L,
that
and
sorry,
then
sorry, but isn't that like
yeah,
delusional to just be like, my strategy works, but it's me that's the problem? Well, are you sure? Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
yeah. So a couple thoughts on that. I think my first thought is, and why I probably kind of have a little bit of aversion to it is, it's not so much about your psychology. Sometimes I've always said, like we say this often in the Black Shirt Club. Two things kill: size and speed. Right? I can tell you, we could go through everybody's trades, and probably still, most people are oversized for what they're capable of handling from a psychological and from a P&L perspective on their trading account. So anytime you get into that situation, yeah, your psychological inadequacies and things like that are going to come out. Your fear, your greed, and things like that. But if you're properly sized, in my mind, in a trade, if you have proper risk management, then you should be a little bit more robotic. It shouldn't matter. You're just playing the odds, right? You're playing your 60, 70% win average, and you're properly sized. You just know if you keep making those decisions, things are going to work out. Here's where I get into trouble. I'm trading well, or I'm thinking, okay, I need to make more because for whatever reason, you need more or you want more, and you're not properly sized. Well, now I've just introduced all kinds of shit into my head, right? I'm like you say, smoking the hope dope or whatever, and you just start making stupid decisions. And I really think, and I don't have any, I'm not a PhD, I don't have any data behind it, but from what I get from myself and talking with others, every time I look at you can just usually quickly look at their trade. Don't look at the strategy they were doing, but look at what they risked, versus their account size and their trading muscle, right? So you can take more drawdown than somebody, newer, right? That's a typical newer trader, right? They're just not accustomed to having drawdown or a large amount of drawdown, or they start thinking about that money they just lost. So for me, I think that's what it comes down to, is just being properly sized and risk management. And that's a whole topic we can
what
get
when
into.
you think about that line between like being a professional, being a gambler, not risking too much, or over like me oversizing or undersizing, how do you view that
Yeah,
line, Mark? Like, how do you look at this? Because you want to take it seriously enough that you're following rules
yeah,
and staying within a structure. But you have
yeah,
said many times, you said it at the seminar, like you don't want to take it too seriously either, because then you're going to miss
yeah,
opportunity. You're going to choke it really, right? What does that
yeah,
line look
yeah.
like for you? Because that line is thin for everybody.
Yeah, it is, and it's different for everyone, right? I mean, I mean, I'm just like a little retail trader that doesn't mean anything. So there's guys slinging millions of dollars, maybe obviously a lot larger sizes and things like that, but responsible. And they built that muscle to be able to do that. They have things in place and they're playing obviously with larger capital. So percentage wise, who knows what it is. But for me, I think the sweet spot for me, like for my personal account, right now, I risk no more than 1% per trade. So worst case scenario, not worst case scenario, anything to be worse, but if I lose 10 trades in a row, I'll be down 10% in my personal account. That's a lot of trades to lose in a row, right? So yeah, if so for me, and so people are like, oh yeah, 1%. But if you did the math, now if we switch over to let's take a 50K prop firm account and I'm trading it, right? I've got let's say $2,000 in drawdown, right? So if I risk 1% on that, that's a very small amount, right? And now we're talking not very much money, right? But most people will go, I mean, how many times has this happened? Somebody's got some 50K XFAs or funded accounts, and they're risking two, three, $500 on a trade. Well, you've only got four swings, with the bat on
Yep.
that. I mean,
Yep.
if we gave somebody $100,000 and said, look, trade this, but don't risk any more than 25%. And they're like, okay, and they take their first trade, they risk $25,000 on a trade. You would say that's insane. You're a gambler. You shouldn't be trading. But we do it all the time with combines or funded accounts and stuff like that. And then when things don't work out and we make bad decisions because we just risk 20, 25% of our account, we wonder, oh, is there something wrong with me or my childhood or what? No, dumbass, you're just a gambler. You're risking way too much.
Absolutely. Do
Yeah.
you do you think that now going through this trading personal capital, so that does answer the question about like how you view the line, I think
Yeah.
pretty clearly. Do you feel now trading personal capital and trading prop firms that one is easier? And would you recommend somebody start with one or the other?
Yeah. I think again, it's going to be, individually
Of course. But this is
dependent,
the Mark
right?
Ross show. We want to know the Mark Ross.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, so for me, that's one reason I got back into trading was when I traded back in the day, I was trading smaller personal accounts, 5K, 10K accounts. And, I could double a 5K account in a month. And, I'm already picking out islands and I'm going to, quit my job. And then the next, week I blow the entire thing. And then I got to work for 6 months and rebuild it and throw another 5K in there. So that shit happened often, right? So you just paying tuition. So when prop firms came around, I was like, oh, I can pay a small amount and I can leverage. But I bought into the same thing. Oh, I can get a 100K account. Oh my gosh, dude, that's insane. I can have $100,000 account and I can trade. Well, really, I had like a $6,000 account. Really, that's all we're doing is buying drawdown. So, once I kind of figured that out, it lost some of the luster, right? And you got all these rules and hoops to jump through and things like that. Not a bad thing. So if you don't have the personal capital to start, I think prop firms are a great way to do that for a small amount of money. If you lose your $150, $200 that costs for a combine or whatever, which is even less nowadays, then that's not as bad as losing $5,000. Because I don't recommend, the Mark Ross plan. I mean, I've lost $5,000 multiple times. I've lost. I had trading grains. I got into a limit move in grains probably 15 plus years ago. If that had only been 5,000, that would have been awesome. But that was way more than 15,000. 2 days in a row, you're locked, lost limit, and that's real money. So if you're in a prop, who cares? It blows up. You've limited the damage. So I would say starting out, I think that's a good thing. I think it's also good to trade like it's real money, or at least have a small account that you could trade micros on of your real money, because I think that's part of the development process. I think even for me, sometimes with prop, I do stupid shit, and it's
Right.
because I know in the back of my mind
You
it's
already
only
spent the
two
money
hundred
you're going to lose.
dollars.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's only 150 bucks, and I can reset it or whatever.
Right.
But I'm trying to train myself. It's all real money because it should be, and trade it that way. So that's my mindset. Now, trading my real capital now. Yeah, I like today. I told you earlier I hadn't traded my live account yet. I traded some prop evals and things like that because I wasn't really in step with the market. So I am a bit more cautious, but I do know that I do have to trade because that I'm looking for the income from it. But I stick to the 1%. And I'm able to with scalping leverage size and small moves to make the amount that I need to make on that. So yeah,
Great information. Do we now, to finish up here,
yeah.
two more thoughts? I'll ask the juicy drama question at the end. Favorite prop firm, if you had to pick one right now at the time of filming this.
Favorite prop firm. Well, I'd say my quick answer is Tradeify, just
Okay.
because they have straight to funded, and we didn't get into that conversation, but I'm a big fan of straight to funded. If you have an edge, so if you have a trading system and you have a track record of being successful with it, I think you definitely want to go straight to funded, and you can afford it and things like that. Even if you don't, I don't know. There's probably an argument to go straight to funded anyways, because I think the whole eval thing, it lends to a different mindset. You're trying to pass it quickly. I think that companies make a ton of money off of people trying to do that. But if you already have the money and you have the discipline to take it slow, to build it up, you don't have to worry about passing an eval and then working on building it up. You're only doing it like kind of one time type thing. I think that's better. So Tradeify offers that. I think there are rules and things like that. I'm excited, for some others that are going to be, I don't know if I can say, but others are going to be entering this space that I think will give them competition.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then I think, the Apex ride, I did that ride,
Well, that's where I
and
was going to go. Wait, so that's where I was going to go.
yeah,
So everybody, it's
yeah.
because it's not like we're talking shit. It's just what it is. Mark took a
Hmm.
30K payout. Was that the only payout you took from
Or
Apex? 40.
40.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So the 40K
Yeah.
out. And that was the only
Yeah.
payout with them. And now you can't buy any more accounts, correct?
Yeah. So the quick element is, let's see, I got Apex in April, maybe, of last year. And then it took me about 2 or 3 weeks to pass I did them in chunks of 10. So I did 10 and 10, and I got 20 together, and I got them, the PA accounts. And I started trading those like at the beginning of May. And I traded them for 2 months. And at the end of June, I had like $2,600 or so in each account. And at the time, there was drama around them at that time, right? Were they going to pay out? They had just changed some rules, like I think in May, and people were kind of. So we talked about it, you and I, and then others in the Black Shirt Club, and the consensus was kind of like, and I kind of agreed, it was just I'll clean them out, take the maxim out, and I'll have a small buffer, but then I'll try to build it up from there. Well, I took two out from each account, so that was the 40 grand, and so that was the first and only payout I took from them, because then I had about $500 or $600 of about $500 of drawdown, and blew it like an idiot, because I got worst thing that happened. I came out, I made a really good trade, made like 150 per account, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to build these back and take another 40K payout like in 2 weeks. Famous last words, right? So I blew those, turned around, tried to do 20 at a time again, and took me two tries on those to get funded again with 20 more. And that was over like a couple month period. Got those 20 PAs, did the same thing. So I'm a slow learner. I came out of the gate, had a couple good wins, and then I went strong and hard, because I was like, hey, I hadn't taken a 40K payout like in 2 months. I want to try to do it again and do it every month, like an idiot, and blew those. So then now I blew through 40 PAs, probably 60, evals to get those 40. And I think I went through two more rounds of PAs, or I'm sorry, evals, of blowing those, trying to get funded quickly. And then I went to buy them again, and I got that message that I was shut down. And then I checked some forums and stuff, and they said, if you've taken a payout, a big pay, not like not that $1,000 wouldn't be big, but if you've taken a sizable payout and you've blown enough accounts, they kind of put you on a list that they think you're flipping or scamming. So I sent them actually a couple tickets, and just said, hey, I'm not a flipper, I'm not a scammer, I'm just a shitty trader sometimes, and I'm trying to get funded again. So, but I've heard crickets, so that's okay. We'll move on. They might come back around
No,
eventually,
and they
but
might come back around, and I would
yeah.
hope that this just serves as good warning to people of like, hey,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Mark, some of our listeners are not in the Black Shirt Club. Like they're people that are just getting
Yeah.
started or wanting to get started. Some of them are probably older than you, even listening to this, and they're thinking about, hey, if I go into this prop thing, I don't want to get burned. Well, here's a
Yeah.
situation where if you didn't know, these are just like casinos. They can tell you to get up from the table. They don't want your business anymore, and you're not welcome here. So just be aware of that. Some firms
Yeah.
do that. Not every firm does that. Some firms have
No.
never been accused of doing that, but some firms
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
do that.
Exactly. And I, that's a good point. Like, like we said, don't get married to any one firm because things can shift. And I'm not saying anything, I mean, Apex can run it how they want. And actually, I think that's a good thing that they're trying to limit anybody that was flipping or scamming, because I watched some of those videos and I know they had people taking advantage of them. And, I want, these firms to be solvent. I want them to be successful, so that we do have access to that, and it just makes it better for everybody. So, maybe they'll review accounts and they'll figure out stuff, or maybe they'll put, controls in place that doesn't allow somebody to blow more than a certain amount of PAs, or I'm sorry, evals versus their PAs, which would still be a good thing, right? I mean, I would say my trading during that time was a bit degenerative. I was like, I should have slowed down, but I, took the 40K payout, and that kind of gets you, on a high, and you want to do it again. And I just try to, again, speed and size, man, speed and size. I mean, it killed me, and I did that to myself. Nobody did that but me. So, but yeah, I would say, I'm excited. I think that it should be, could be a good part of your plan from a business perspective. We've talked about that. Have a certain amount, have a budget that you're willing to put into that. My plan has that in there, right? I'm trading my personal account, but I want to copy trade and also trade to my prop accounts on the side, so that, every month or every quarter, I'm able to take out some cash from that and supplement my personal account, P&L. Which I think is good. And really, from a scaling perspective, I mean, if you can get 5 accounts from 2 or 3 different firms, or 3 accounts from 3 to 4 firms, you spread your risk around to those firms.
That's the way.
If you can copy trade to those, which I'm an advocate for doing, you're making one trade and you're multiplying it and scaling it. And I think there's good money to be made. And the whole live thing, I mean, I don't have an aversion to it. I think
Yeah.
at the end of the summer, if I've traded well and I'm with 2 or 3 prop firms and I've gone to live with them, now I've got my personal live and 2 or 3 prop firm lives, and they're all copied together. I think that's a good place to be in. And then you spread around your risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think from this conversation, people are going to have a lot of questions for you, Mark. So I
Yeah.
think we'll put a pin in it for now, and you're going to be sucked
Okay.
into doing a part 2 with me probably at some point in the near future.
Absolutely.
I think I teed
Yeah.
it up here for everybody today, where we got a little taste of a couple of different opinions, different areas from you, and I'm sure they're going to want to hear more. So right now, everybody, Mark is not on social media. So if you'd like to connect with Mark, you'd have to come into the Black Shirt Club, and then you could see his bald face
That's
every
right.
morning. But for
That's right.
now, what we'll do, Mark, is we'll leave the questions open in the YouTube comments. People fill them out, go to YouTube, hit the comments, let me know. And then if we get enough, we'll do a round 2. But thank you, Mark, for finally doing this. I'm finally glad we get to put the story out there a little bit, get to get your success of last year out at the beginning of this year. And at worst, we're
Yeah.
going to sit down at the end of 2025 and hopefully at least double what you made last year. That would be a good second year in the BSC.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sounds good.
And I
Thank you.
appreciate everything you did, bro. Saying nice stuff about us. You didn't have to
Oh,
do that, so I appreciate that. I
oh
appreciate
no.
all your
And
work,
I
bro.
mean that.
Everybody
Yeah.
loves you. Like, dude, everybody fucking loved you at the seminar. Like, you're just a great team player, great member of the group. So,
I appreciate that.
yeah,
Appreciate
buddy.
that.
All right,
All
everybody.
right.
Thank you very much for listening. Make sure you guys are subscribed, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.